Thanks for coming, everybody, on this beautiful Wednesday afternoon and evening. And I look forward to hearing from you what the best practices are for accessible luxury throughout a lifetime. So I'm sure you guys all know me. Catherine, I want to hear about you, just to put you on the spot. I see that you're unmuted. What brings you to us today? I saw the little line around her a minute ago. We'll come back to that. So this presentation is kind of a reboot of a presentation that I did for the Voices of the Industry presentation for the Kitchen and Bath Association with several of my esteemed colleagues in the industry. And I love to collaborate with other different branches of the design and build arena. So I live in Rochester, New York with my two kids and my fabulous husband and our elder daughter, Mia, who was 4 years younger on this picture. She has pretty severe autism and loves all things musical and likes to speak with her assistive talking device. We've also had our home sort of reimagined with different stickers and sticky notes and best practices for her to be successful, such as PEX, which is a picture speaking system that is for her tasks of daily living, and that works quite well for us. So Louis Delaware is one of the co-founders of the Living in Place Institute. And on the bottom left there, you see his co-conspirator, Eric Listu. And they thought, hey, why don't we build a book and a manual for design and construction personnel to move beyond aging in place and universal design. And they got together, and the rest is history. We now have over 800 certified living in place professionals all across the world, including Japan, including Ireland and Greece. And we're working on getting some people in South America that are getting certified right now. Lisa Wood is an interior designer from Texas. She lives in North Carolina now, and she did extensive research for how design and real estate works together successfully. And I know a lot of you are also from crazy markets where stuff is going quickly and above ask, and the things that are in mint condition are absolutely handily getting those prices. And then Ryan Hurd is one of our integrators, and he's done part of the presentation with all things technology, which technology can add a lot of dignity and respect to the design and build process, and also how somebody navigates the space. Because you don't have to get up necessarily and trip and fall needlessly when you have your Ring camera at your front door, or if you want to turn the lights off, you can use your Philips Hue system. And then Ebony Stevenson is one of our social media influencers and a fabulous interior designer and the NKBA Virginia State Chapter president, as well as one of our ambassadors. And she's a real spitfire, having earned not only the 30 under 30, but also the Professional Remodelers 40 under 40 awards. She is definitely a force to be reckoned with, and she contributed this awesome case study that you'll see at the end. I really got to thinking about this before I became a parent, while I was still in design school and while the Ontario College of Art and Design was going through a huge reimagining. And I was a little bit upset that an architect out of London got the commission to redo the environmental design area instead of one of our local esteemed Toronto architects. But nonetheless, because it was a institution of learning, that everything had to be designed according to the ADA. And I really feel like they could have done better, because part of the design is this exceptionally long escalator. And basically that's not very accessible for people if they have to go and use the elevator and miss all of that. So, it's basically civil rights and disability rights are very closely aligned. And what are some of the disabilities or other abilities of the differently abled community? There's autism, which, like I said, is very close to my own household, mental health disorders, which a lot of people have brought to the forefront, especially with us all being shut in, intellectual disabilities, either by birth or by trauma, multiple disabilities, orthopedic impairments, other health impairments, emotional disturbances, learning disabilities, and speech and language impairments, as well as mobility impairments that could result in the use of assisted devices, the deaf and blind community, deafness, hearing impairment. Some hearing impaired people would like to be referred to not as impaired because they don't see it as a limitation, and then visual impairments as well. So we now have a situation where finally it's becoming into the mainstream that the differently abled community has contributed a lot to our society, and that they definitely have rights, which we as interior designers can enhance and support, that they can manage their own money, make their own schedules, decide what to do with their days, have privacy in their homes, take part in the community, keep themselves safe, have their own friends, choose their relationships, follow their own beliefs and religion, vote for their own candidates very privately. Right now, it's very public, and that needs to be changed. Creating their own goals, exercising independence, and making their same choices as everybody else can. And it's their life, and they should be allowed to do whatever they can do. So I'm just gonna check here. Let me open the chat box. All right, I'm glad somebody that's Terry wrote, I love that t-shirt. I was born awesome, not perfect. And I think we can all really go with Luther on that one and concur. We are all imperfect in our own way. All right, let's get this next slide going here. Oh, I guess the chat got rid of that. There we go. So the ADA recently became 30, to not much fanfare since we were all sitting on our couches binge watching Netflix. And hopefully we were able to reach some of these shows. The movie Crip Camp that was done by Barack and Michelle Obama is absolutely delightful. And if you haven't had a chance to see it, absolutely watch it, because it shows that they are different and not less. And then there's just so many conditions that can throw a wrench in our ideals at any time. My husband fell on his shoulder and had extensive mobility issues for over 6 months. And he was able to put himself back on the mend with medical science and has regained most of his usability. Glaucoma, we need a way more lighting. That at 60, we need twice as much as we had at 30. So those are conditions that we can definitely design into spaces, as well as wellness. We can affect how somebody can task their own space and create their own environments by adding extra lighting. A lot of collaboration, as you can see here. We're noted that we have a lot of living in place professionals that are allied, as well as the Interior Designers of Canada, the remodelers, the home inspectors, as well as senior advisors and occupational and physical therapists, as well as the home builders themselves, which a lot of home builders are now more open to a zero clearance or going back to the ranch style homes. The VA actually in America has amazing grants available for the disabled veterans, and a lot of people are not aware of what actually is available. And I'm also an ambassador for Design for a Difference. So if you haven't had a chance to check that out, it was founded by Mark Burnett. And basically, we went into different charities and we help those who help others. Habitat for Humanity, founded by Jimmy Carter, is an excellent path to homeownership, as is the Neighborhood Assistance Corporation of America, which is funding that will allow people who were left out by the mortgage crisis and the subprime lending crisis. They now have an avenue for creating their own spaces with remodeling loans, and they can purchase properties up to a 4-family, so that the generational wealth that was not accessible to them is now accessible. And that's where good design comes in as well, because we can create some of those units as being accessible, and now you can create some multi-generational housing. So the first segment of this is Louis was presenting on LaDonna Erickson's Forever Home. And LaDonna is an amazing human being. Definitely friend her on LinkedIn, follow her social media, and check out her website at foreverlivinginplacehome.com. She is a science and chemistry teacher that became an interior designer and built this gorgeous home that you're about to see. So as you can see, the young lady here at the bottom with the double twin stroller would be able to enjoy this automatic drop-down door sweep just as much as somebody that was using a wheelchair or a walker or had any other kind of mobility impairment. And also the nice wide entryway and the glazing so that you can see from the inside who's at your door is very handy. And also the overhang to shelter this because it is in Nebraska and it is very windy there. So on the interior of her home, she's kept it a very open concept, and she's done colors to contrast. It basically what she's done is done the glare resistant lighting, and she's gone with a sort of semi matte flooring, and it's just a delight what she's done. And unfortunately, they restricted how small the house could be. So it kind of kept growing and growing. So multiple families could actually end up in this place because it is so huge square footage wise. I'm sure that people in Toronto can appreciate. So on top of the high contrast between the floor and the walls, there's the outlet heights at 24 inches. And we would love for this to be the new standard because it's just easier to reach and it makes sense not to have to bend and stoop. Also, the outlets, the light switches, the placement of those, you can really make it more accessible. In the kitchen, multiple height of countertops, raised dishwasher, double handles on the refrigerator, lots of drawers, the touchless faucets, again, the lighting control, and just slip resistant materials, and making sure that you have enough space to navigate between the two counter spaces in the kitchen. And there's LaDonna. And one of the other things that she did was make sure that the hardware doesn't catch you, because who's gotten caught on the very fancy hardware as you're trying to go by with a purse or something, and then you end up dropping everything and get snagged. And having everything in its place and a place for everything is another really great feature. In the hallways, double handrails, again, is really great, as well as 48-inch minimum width hallways. The first time I ever saw a home with 48-inch hallways was for a gentleman who had remodeled his home for his wife who had Lou Gehrig's disease. So that was really quite lovely to see, to make sure that everybody fit in the hallway. Having personal hygiene seats, grab bars, whether they're hidden or integrated or look like towel bars, is a really smart idea. And just having all this wide open space, and as you can see, the lighting is fantastic. Linear floor drain to really catch all the water, and I know everybody from Toronto is used to all this stuff, so I'm probably not telling you anything new other than now you can sell it as a living in place feature. And like I said before, Lisa Wood is also a Spitfire. She's on Clubhouse if anybody wants to find her. She's really connected quickly to the entire community. And one of our other Living in Place ambassadors, Linda Kafka, and our friend Maria Stapper-Fenny, we're actually doing a marketing forum tomorrow as well for Living in Place community. And she really did a lot of research to showcase how a staged home and the relationship with a realtor will help a client get a home for a lifetime. So we all know the stats. It sells for more money and quicker. We see it on HGTV, and make a house look great, make everybody feel happy. We have a bunch of designers that sort of emulate that HGTV experience. And I will open it up now. Does anybody have any experience working with a realtor or with a builder on a sort of staging or model home? And has anybody sort of come up with any solutions or strategies of how to connect with them, or is mostly everybody a commercial designer?
Well, I'm working with a client where the house renovation was pretty deep. So I was working with the builder, and I saw the need to have a couple of the bedrooms wheelchair accessible. The client has aging parents, and he kind of wanted them to move in with him. And then they announced they didn't want to move in after he was doing this whole, he was going to have an elevator and everything. So he dropped that. But I had the bathrooms, and I don't know if you've done this, where you can bring the wheelchair under the sink
Mm-hmm.
and right, so I thought that really made sense anyway, because you know I don't know, I think we're all headed for wheelchairs, quite frankly. So we have to think about that part. I guess I'm retirement age, so I'm thinking that way. There are times that my mother went through the walker thing and all of that. So I think it makes sense to, when you're working with a builder, to see that at least if you've got a 4 or 5 bedroom house, one of the bedrooms at least has to be wheelchair accessible. There's no reason to not do it in this day and age. It's really important.
That's great. Nikki, you had a comment as well? No?
Oh, I have not worked with a builder. I just
Not at
like
all.
to tour their houses for fun.
You like to tour the houses for fun? Yeah, and I'm finding, 24 years ago when I first got into the business, I didn't really see any accessible features in any of the homes. It was always kind of more specialized. And Peter also had mentioned that he works mostly commercial, which is, sort of sad that the ADA, or in Canada, the equivalent, is not mandated for residential, because it should be. It wouldn't be that big of a hardship to have the doorways be at least 36 inches. So yes, to answer your point, Terry, no, the doorways are only 36 inches, which is good enough for most wheelchairs except for bariatric wheelchairs. And that's supposed to be clear, so it would actually be a 38 or 39-inch door by the time you take the jamb into consideration, because a 36-inch door is actually only like 34 clear. And the other consideration is that the homes for the veterans, that benefit goes to the surviving spouse, does not have to move out after the veteran passes away. But there's $180,000 for a disabled veteran, and that includes any remaining World War II veterans and Korean War veterans that have residual diseases from that would be now in their 90s and hundreds, and any of the veterans from Vietnam War, of course, any of the
Is it strictly for the veteran itself, or if the is the benefit strictly for the veteran, or would it be like for their spouse and children, depending on if they need it?
well, the benefit is to the veteran to
Okay.
modify the home for their lifetime. But
Okay.
like I said, they can be, if there's certain criteria. I don't know if you guys all remember when we got those little sheets of paper in grade school about, like, if you lost an arm, they'll pay $10,000.
Yeah.
It was like, I don't want to lose my arm. I don't want $10,000, but it's that kind of an idea that, they have a sliding scale, but there is $90,000 plus $90,000 available for the modifications, which is fantastic.
And is that nationwide or just in our area? It's national.
Yeah, it's national. It's through the Veterans Administration. It's fantastic. And then, okay, going back here, I think I caught everything on the chat. Ontario Building.
Yeah, I actually,
that's great.
I actually worked on the I was working at the legislature at the time and I actually worked on the ADA law bill. So,
Fabulous.
so it'd be interesting one day to talk offline about why some of these things were dropped and put in. And I can give you some insider background.
Yeah, actually, fun fact, the biggest objection to the ADA was Greyhound bus line. They did not want to retrofit their buses to allow disabled people to use them because they thought, oh my gosh, we're going to have to spend millions and there's going to be this onslaught of people with their wheelchairs and it's going to slow down the schedule. And how are we going to make money if we lose all those seats and have to widen this and do that? So, instead of design being the creative solution and getting a win-win, we kind of have people stymieing it. Japan Airlines has actually adopted universal design, and they've added 3 other items to their idea of universal design, which is the wellness and the holistic sort of feeling of well-being while traveling, and having that be an accessible and intuitive experience. So Lisa went on to do a lot of other really cool research, and we can get on Clubhouse with her to dive deep into that. But with this one, the point that I want to make is the FHA 203K renovation loan. There's also some grants through Sunny Mae, and there are also some grants through Freddie Mac as well that people are not aware of, that they can purchase a home with this renovation and remodeling loan, have a designer, an architect, and a builder involved with the process, and get the home up to their standards by utilizing this funding that is available. And you can see here from the picture on the left where it's unstaged, and on the right where it's staged. Staging definitely does make a difference. And then something that I would challenge designers to is to create soft spaces where you don't have any issues. If you have a trip and fall, you're not going to bash your head open on a sharp edge and corner, which looks cool, but is maybe more dangerous than it needs to be. And, the fees, it's unbelievable what you can make as far as money to even do a consultation for a staging, because it's a minimal time investment. And then if you get a contracting job out of that, after that, it's, a license to print money, because people are very motivated to get top dollar for their properties. So here's a couple of the comparisons. A condo price, so 600,000 staged 3 months for $4,800. That's a huge return on their investment. Designers come in to ready the homes for sale. And then it's also about having a marketing plan as a designer to go to the realtors. And people sort of think that designers have huge egos. Well, realtors have huge egos too, but it really is at the end of the day about the client and having a really excellent outcome. So bringing something new to the table is going to make their property stand out even in this crazy market. And there's lots of research out there as well. Just go on to the Google and check in your area where we're at. And then the technology part, I love this because the Internet of Things and the bandwidth, and I'm sure like with the upload times and the zooming and all that stuff, we're just like, why is this so slow? And it's like, you don't know anything about our fax machines and our dial-up that we had to deal with back in the 2000s. So who is using tech? Of course, Gen Z was born with it. Millennials were early adopters of it. I'm in the jaded Gen X scenario, and Zoomers don't want to be called, hey, boomer, you're ahead of the curve. You've seen it all. You've done it all. And then the greatest generation. I love, love, love hanging out with the ladies from the Perkins Mansion, many of whom are in their late 80s, mid 90s, and up to 100. And the fact that they get on a Zoom call monthly and are, FaceTiming and texting is absolutely remarkable to me. When some of them had grown up in, farm villages where they had to go down to the post office to make the phone call because that's where the one telephone was, or they would send a telegraph. My grandparents had a telex machine to talk to Germany. and my grandmother would jump into her Camaro and run down to the post office at the main depot because it was open an hour later than the local branch. So it's really cool to see how connected we are, because I could Cash App you some money in about 2 seconds. So the business world and models have certainly changed, and so has our environments. Um, just watching a program and having it say Alexa or Amazon will engage Alexa, Amazon, or Google. And that is amazing that it's that tuned in to our environment with Big Brother watching. So I don't know how many of you have desired or had clients that want to use these types of products, but some of the items are really useful and, like I said, helpful, and could facilitate somebody staying in their home much longer. The smart microwaves, the barcode reader will actually perfectly cook that recipe for the microwave, because it's beyond the kids' pay grade. And I know this because I have a 14-year-old and 18-year-old babysitters that come into the house, and they are not interested in cooking at all, and they're barely interested in microwaving. So I know if our microwave had that smart feature, they would definitely be using it and appreciating it. So we were talking earlier about some of the faucet control, especially with the germs that we've had to deal with in the last 14 months. The touchless and motion faucets, and the foot push, I think, has been installed in many, many public spaces. And it's really great. The servo glides with the knee touch is really helpful, especially with people with limited strength. And then the voice control as well is super. I don't know how many hours my husband and I spent at the water dispenser, but when we got the one with the sonar in it on a clearance refrigerator, we were like, woohoo, we can walk away from it and it's just going to automatically fill it, and we can come back in 32 seconds and the glass is magically full. It's like saved hours of our life. And voice control in the bathroom, the shower controls. I have clients that have loved to have these electronic first generation controls where you can program your scene and you can program the family members. Love, 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 love that. And same with the toilet as well. You know, who doesn't want to have a foot warmer or a bun warmer on their toilet, as well as having a hygienic seat, which illuminates as you approach, washes and air dries, sanitizes the water in the wand, and you have wireless and remote options. It actually helps people stay in their homes and keeps them out of assisted living. And all you need to do is install a GFI outlet next to the toilet, which you can say is for a night light or for charging your cell phone. Powered window blinds and windows is really great for safety and security, because you can be away. If people are thinking about snowbirds, you can create a scene and your windows will go up and down and your lights will go on and off, and you don't even need to be there, but it will look like that somebody's there. And this water bug is an absolutely fantastic feature as well for anybody that has a basement or a swimming pool or hot tub. Basically, it's a sensor that goes near your hot water tank and or where the flooding may or may not happen, and it gives you an alert that it's been breached. And then also cooking appliances, which is great for people who are, you know, limited in their ability for cooking. It not only learns your cooking habits, but it gives you the security in knowing that you're not going to have anything running dry or overflowing and causing a fire. And then smart speakers. Who has smart speakers in their home? We love them. Love, love, love. But like I said, they do kind of chat with you whenever they feel like it. And you can have them in plain sight if you want them to be cute and proud. It's good to have some contrast and some levity and some fun. And last but not least, I'm just going to run through Ebony's case study here. And here's the before. We've all seen this bathroom. It's like, woohoo, it has 2 sinks, and then it has that separate compartment, and then maybe it has the closet in there too, and that fan is probably 50 CFM, and maybe at one point it got upgraded to 100 CFM. Pocket door is not really that private, and I don't know who ever came up with the idea that 24 inches needed to be the standard for a bathroom door, because I am a large woman and I do not fit through a 24-inch door on the best day. So it's, it's causing a lot of elbow bruising, but so 24-inch doors, making them wider is a great idea. So what she did was she got it out of the room and she lowered the receptacles and switches and put the toilet in a better location, and definitely changed to a more private 36-inch door with a lever handle and no lock because this gentleman needed to have a caregiver. So there's the end result with the zero clearance shower. Again, Toronto people in the house already have this. Also tiles all the way up to the ceiling. This is more prevalent, I know, north of the border than it is down here in upstate New York. And having a lot of accessible counter space and increasing the size of the shower is also very helpful. I am a big fan of staying with a curtain rather than a piece of glass, again, for safety and security and balance. It just makes a lot more sense, especially when you're moving assistive devices such as shower seats and or walkers in and out of the space. You like that, Lois? Yeah, I mean, you can always put a more beautiful curtain on top of that one if you want to hide the utilitarian curtain.
Exactly. You can put a dressy fabric over top of the plastic liner or nylon liner, but the glass is also very difficult to keep clean, and just getting everything out of the way. I'm in a condo that was built by Ciccone Simone, if you know them.
Oh, yes, yes.
And I have a deep tub with glass on top of it. And I cut my finger and I haven't been able to turn my water on and off in the shower or click off the drain without stepping right into the tub. And I fell once trying to get in and out because of this. I've got a bruise on my knee that you wouldn't believe just before we're about to go into, showing legs under dresses instead of those thick winter tights. And yeah, I just don't like it. This everything accessible, open in and out of the shower is wonderful for every age, let's face it.
And
So I love that. I agree with you. The shower curtain is really, let's bring them back, because this glass, I can never get it clean enough.
No, it gets etched. We actually have a gray tile floor, and my husband likes to use the Irish spring soap, which is the worst. And he uses Head and Shoulder shampoo, which is the worst. Those two items, I might as well take it like a crayon and just draw on it, because it just does not rinse off. As I scrub it with Dawn, I use the magic eraser. The cleaning people come in with their fancy, industrial cleaners, and it just never looks clean between cleanings. And he went with a solid color tile. And I'm like, you're not listening to your designer wife. It's gonna look like.
Or the glass tiles. I'm working with a client who wanted to put glass tiles in the bathroom. And I said, you've got glass tiles in your shower and they'll just be, etched. They'll be etched very quickly.
Yeah.
And, they decided they couldn't find a new place to buy. In London, England, they just couldn't find, it's really hard there they don't have the real estate coming on the market like we do.
No, and
So
they'll hang on to it for a lifetime.
So they've renovated. So those glass, I don't like the glass tiles. Anyway, the grout it's like mucky looking through and everything. I don't like them. Yeah, I've got them here. I'm living with them, but.
Yeah. Nikki, you had an experience with a particular soap too?
Yeah, my partner uses Irish Spring and Head and Shoulders as well, and it is brutal.
Yeah, I'm all for banning that. Go with the nice lady.
I can actually give you a wonderful tip, because my husband uses those same products. And what I've done is once a month, I steam clean the whole bathroom, get it all clear, and then I use turtle wax for the car.
I
And I
used
do
to
the
do that.
walls and up to about an inch off the bottom of the tub. So you're not going to step on the wax, but
Wow.
it up to use sharks on it.
Smart.
So
I
there's your non-designer tip.
That was worth the price of admission, Miss Terry.
There you go. But yeah,
Uh.
turtle wax, it works fabulous. It cleans up. Because I mean, I had scrapers to get this stupid Irish Spring off the soap bar, and I, put it on the washcloth. Oh no, it falls off and it's too much work. So I finally went with turtle wax, and we haven't fought over it in over a decade. So I
Great.
highly recommend it.
I actually used to do turtle wax because once upon a time I lived in a place that had hard water. It would create hard water stains.
Yep.
And so it's an old school method my grandmother told me, and it really helped save me against the hard water stains in my rental.
That's awesome.
So
Very
What I found, because my tile is old and the grout isn't so great, um, I actually would leave the turtle wax kind of goopy on the grout, which
yeah.
left it a little discolored and made it look more gross than what it was. So everybody kind of freaked out about it. So I don't do it anymore.
I love it though. That's awesome. So as you can see, the grout for slip resistance, there's the shower seat, and Lois, as you had mentioned, the drive up counter. And I was so pleased
Yes.
finally American Standard has come back with the pull down lav faucet. I don't know why they ever took it off the market, because Growy had it and American Standard had it. And it is
What kind?
finally American Standard has a pull down lav faucet again, because so many people want to just touch up their hair without going in the shower or
Hmm.
taking care of an elderly loved one or a child that doesn't particularly need a shower or a bath and might be confined to a chair or other assistive device. And now you can just wash their hair and rinse them off right at the sink, which is just huge, especially if you've got the knee space underneath it. Makes it so much more
It
pleasant.
also makes cleaning so much easier. You can
So
get all the little stuff out of the corners and everything. It's wonderful.
it is so wonderful. So I'm so glad.
Oh, yeah, tipping it around inside. I love that. Yeah.
So
I do
thank
that
you,
in the kitchen.
my friend Gray Ewell. I was geeking out the other day. It was my husband's birthday, and we were at a restaurant. And I came back, and I said I was with my daughter in the bathroom, because she's like, "It's at the other side of the restaurant. Come with me." So said, "Do you see these faucets, honey?" I said, "This is my favorite faucet of all time. It's the Kohler Fairfax, and it was designed by my friend Gray Ewell when he was working there from 1995 until 2001." And I said, "And he is now the third generation lead designer at DXV American Standard Lixil." I said, "Because his grandfather and his father were also head engineers there and invented all kinds of cool stuff." And I said, "See how important industrial interior design is?" And she's like, "I don't care that you like this stupid faucet line." I said, "See how timeless it is? I just love it. I just think it's so fun and quirky, and it's the greatest things in sliced bread." And I said, "And he and I have coffee at the KBiz show." And we get a private tour of their amazing things that they're always innovating. So I'm super happy about that. There are actually handheld shower heads on slide bars that are rated as grab bars. So look out for those, because that's a fantastic feature as well. And the grab bar is for the client and the caregiver, because if you're holding a slippery, wet person, you need to have some place to steady yourself as well. And then the vanity with a rollout shelving, just to be able to reach things in those far corners, is really handy as well. Heated tile floors in showers, again, easy to keep clean, perfect for people with neuropathy. Rocker switches, easy to hit with an elbow if you don't have the integrated voice control. Exhaust fans with timers to make sure that they stay on for a long period of time. All the grab bars, all the towel bars are grab bars as well. And you can see there the double one is that's the way to go, because when somebody goes to grab onto the grab bar and it has a towel on it, now you're going to slip with the towel. So having it be a double, whereas the top rail is clear, that is going to make sure that that doesn't happen. I'm also a huge fan of putting towels on hooks and having those kind of tucked away in a spot where every individual person in the family can have their towel for the 2 to 3 uses. And that way you're not mixing them. I'm also a big fan of color coding things for busy families and giving dedicated spaces to people, whether it's a drawer or a shelf, so that everybody's toiletries can be in a caddy and then they can bring in their own flavors to the shower and then not clutter up the whole space. Because again, if you're kind of flailing about, you might not want to be, pulling down 10 bottles of shampoo while you're doing that. And then LED lighting can now be controlled quite easily as well, and energy efficient fixtures. And this client did call Ebony and was crying because he was 94 years old, and he told her verbatim that he felt like he gained back his independence and manhood. He felt like the head of the household again, that he was back Charles in charge and the boss, and he felt a renewed sense of dignity and pride. And isn't that really why we do what we do? We protect people's real estate investments and we protect their asset by updating it and keeping it not only ready for the market to pass on to somebody else, but to actually enjoy through a lifetime, create those memories, and provide a safe, healthy, comfortable environment for everybody to thrive and be their best selves. And last but not least, here's the pictures and the contact information for everybody. And I was so just thrilled to be able to put this presentation on for you guys tonight, and hope that everybody got something out of it. So if you all want to share really what is your goal and what questions can I answer for you, I'm here for you.
That was really informative.
Thank you.
Well, great, Danny, that's wonderful. I've got like 4 pages of notes in front of me. One of mine is mostly on best resources for people who are going blind. I
So-
guess she's physically independent, but her sight is failing, and that's where she's feeling the most restriction on her independence.
Yeah, and that is a clutter-free environment where she's basically in charge of where things are placed, and that everybody who assists her knows that it has to absolutely go back in those places. So something like sharp objects need to be in things like knife blocks or special drawers that have the holders in them for the knives. And the lighting conditions, as well as having audible things. So definitely having the Google Home or the Alexa would help her a lot with some of the lighting and the controls. And the Ring cameras where she can speak rather than having to see who's there. And again, the tripping hazards have to go away, and all sharp edges and corners need to go away. Handrails and hallways are helpful, as well as a second rail on the staircases. And other than that, just like an audible alarm and or a bed shaker for her alarm clock, and some kind of wayfinding, whether it's a texture or a handrail to guide her to the commode. And definitely making sure that all the sharp edges in the bathroom are minimized and the trip hazards. So, having an open shower would certainly be helpful. By nature, the hand showers, the heads are plastic, and a lot of people were like, "Oh, that's cheap. Why would you do that?" And it's like, well, because when it falls off the holder, you don't want it to knock you out. That's why the new ones have the magnets, so that they just pop right back into where they need to go. And then, now the designers are a little bit more in tune with the size of things, like the knobs on things are a little bit easier to read and more chunky. And like I said, some of the grab bars are actually the slide bar themselves, because where are you going to grab? You're going to grab the things that are easy, and you don't want that towel bar or hand shower rail to come out with the person.
Right.
Has anybody else had any kind of field experience other than what Lois had said? Again, like Chicone Simone is like the be all and end all in Toronto, is like Yabu Pushelberg. Those are like the big rock stars from the 90s. You know, who's the other gentleman? I can't even remember. Brian Gluckstein. They're like the grandfathers of fancy design. It kind of took over from the 80s, which was all opulence everywhere. And it was great. I got to spend tens of thousands of dollars of a friend's money the other day because she was replacing her carpets due to puppies. And of course, I'm like, the hardwoods are fine. You don't need to add these tripping hazards back in here. And
Yeah.
she's like, well, I want them. And I'm like, okay, well, make sure it contrasts the puppy, first of all, so you don't trip over the puppy. And second of all, like, you need to make sure that it's going to make sense to spend all this extra money, because if you're just basically causing a trip hazard, what's the point? But we were talking about the carved carpets from the late 80s and early 90s. And I'm like, yeah, and in the corner there was this little like loop-de-loop and colors if you wanted to for the same price. Yep, good times.
Well, Danny, I want to share a feature. Now, I didn't make my bed today.
That's okay. You're allowed to know.
And yeah, so I'm going to show you what Chicone Simone did. I live in my building. There had to be by law 14 units that were, wheelchair accessible.
Mhm.
And I didn't realize that was what I got as a unit. And, all the plugs and everything are hidden behind artwork because they're high. And so one plug in each room. But I'm going to see that, do you see the sliding doors?
Yes.
So the bedrooms in these condos are tiny. I have what I call a concise space.
Okay.
This is what they did for an accessible bedroom. Instead of having a door, I'm standing in the so-called living room,
Yeah.
and I've got these pocket doors that go back and go back so that a wheelchair can go on either side of the bed.
And that's
the
queen
wall
size bed?
opens all the way up. And the other units have a little doorway from the living room into the bedroom. And what you get is, a long, narrow, skinny living room, and then, the bedroom. So why I like this unit was that from here, I have the end of the living room and I have the bedroom all with windows and light, and it's all open concept at the end.
Yeah, gorgeous.
So it worked out really well, but that is for accessibility. Having the bedroom not have a door, especially these little tiny bedrooms, you've got room for the bed and a little walk space around it. To have the whole end of the room open up like that, that was the best thing I think they came up with in these units. And
That's
only the accessible units have this.
But that should have been a design feature for all the units, like you said. It just makes more sense, and it makes it more flexible, because really you're going to be in your space, mostly you and whoever you've invited over. And
That's right. And if I don't want them looking in the bed, if it's one of those things, I just close those. So, but for me, it's a 1-bedroom, so it's open all the time.
Absolutely.
So it was a very good feature, and it is an accessibility feature. So I thought that might be worth showing you.
Thank you for sharing that. That was excellent, for sure. Anybody else try anything?
My mother really liked the double bar. They were going to make their bathroom more accessible, and they really liked the double towel bar. So she hung it really high.
Got it.
So it's not saying it's this, but it looks pretty.
Okay. It's a start. At least she has it. Hopefully the wall's blocked, or you can use a wing it.
They put it on the side of their cabinet. So they have a cabinet pantry where they basically took the same cabinetry that they had in the kitchen and they purchased some of that and put it in as like a standalone pantry so that it coordinates back and forth room to room.
Yeah.
And they hung this on the side of that.
Got it.
So it's not going to save anybody.
But it's a baby step. So Peter,
Danny,
you said
Danny, I have a question.
yeah, go ahead.
I was helping my mother's cousin who wanted to age in place, and she never went to a senior's home. And she was a big woman, and what they put in for her, I didn't come up with it. Whoever she hired to help her with that, nursing people, came up with a vertical bar between the ceiling and the floor beside her bed. Mm-hmm. Have you heard of that?
Yes.
She could take a hold of the bar and get up out of the bed and into the bed with a pole, really a vertical pole. I don't see that very often. Do you use that?
You go to medical supply places and you'll see all the cool access features. So it would be a fun little like aside to go and check out all the different things. My mother-in-law fell and broke her ankle on my father-in-law's birthday. And she had a very adorable little powder room on the main floor with a cute little pedestal sink with a lovely English brass hardware that all patinas. But this little tiny round front toilet for a very tall woman was not going to serve her purposes to be going up and down into a seated position. Of course, while I would have preferred for her to also have a high seat because of being able to just push a button as opposed to trying to then navigate, trying to find the tissue. I was able to deliver a raised seat that did have the elongated feature so that everything would land where it was supposed to land, and that she was able to lift herself up with the integrated handles. Because I said that's one thing for you to want to be independent and make it look like you're not injured, but you don't want to cause a back or other bone injury or a strain inadvertently while you're trying to heal your ankle because you're too proud to pull yourself up properly. So that extra space, and you'll see them on the side of the road a lot on garbage day. They're only $70, but it would probably save you hundreds of dollars and hours of physical therapy for an inadvertent injury that was a result of another injury somewhere else. So Peter, you have something to add in your commercial world? Like what are you seeing that we should be incorporating residentially?
Okay, I'm not just only design, I also apply building permit for every job. So quite familiar with the building code 3.8. So their requirements just like Bible, okay? Mm-hmm. So the challenge of every project, the examiner, they ask first question, barrier free, universal washroom, height of the sink, grab bar L shape, we're not horizontal one, okay? So all kind of this requirement they need. So it's very straightforward, okay? Second question, they ask fire safety, building safety. So all the time, this I think the building code apply for both commercial and residential. So I'm not doing residential that much. And I doing mostly restaurant, hospitality, the space, example, the space behind the bar, the service bar is 3'8", the traffic distance, everything, the barrier free shower, the curb ½ inch, not more than that. The size is 5 by 3, and in front of the shower is 3 feet. So those kind of regular building codes. So we need to be very, very accurate to put on our drawing design, the planning. So I would say 80% they ask building barrier free or kind of universal design. So it's not new to me. So I know what what detailed requirements. So I think that's the same for the residential. So, but I'm not doing residential design. So in Ontario, very straightforward, very strong, and the bylaw. So then as a designer, we need to know barrier free universal design. Yeah.
That's great. And that was a good point you made about the L-shaped shower grab bar as opposed to the horizontal one. Because in the ADA, there's actually a requirement for one behind the toilet as well. And
Yeah.
then it's a good practice to do the vertical one. So that would mimic the L-shaped one that is standard in Ontario. And I don't know why they haven't adopted that, because the vertical bar is actually for males to be able to steady themselves when they're facing the toilet if there's a lack of a urinal. There's not a lot of grab bars mandated around urinals, which should be, because that would be the same thing for somebody to steady themselves.
There's a building code about the grab bar beside the urinal.
Oh, good.
And the grab bar before the old building code is in angle.
Yes.
Now it's an L shape. So also the L shape grab bar, the height, dimension, everything very precise. So is the mirror should be angle, and the wash basin, the depth, the height, all the shelving, everything, and also the door. The door knob is a lever handle.
Yes.
And also just the couple years ago, and the bylaw, they changed, all barrier free door will be 38 inches, not 36. So now even the office is 38, not 36. So the pull and push, the door handle, the distance, the clearance, everything very precise, very straightforward. So 38 door now in Toronto, Ontario. So it's the most tough province building code. The other city, the other province, they don't care that much. Ontario very tough for barrier free design. Yeah.
That's good to hear that it's finally becoming a new standard, because I know that when Vancouver was saying that all new construction for residential moving forward was to be a lever handle, that the design community was all up in arms about it. And I was like, they said moving forward, new construction remodeling. So if you have an 1890s building and it has a very ornate knob in the middle of the door, that's fine, you can keep that. However, if you remodel, you have to have crash bars, you have to have the easier access points so that it becomes simpler for people to navigate the space. And again, it's so frustrating when people are fighting this until they are in the situation where they're trying to maneuver somebody in a bariatric wheelchair, and they realize that 34-inch clearance on the old 36-inch door, that you cannot actually physically navigate that space. And in urban planning, it doesn't cost that much extra money to do curb cuts, and curb cuts are good for everybody. If you can avoid a slip and fall off of a curb, and if you think about some of the cities we've all been in where they have the old granite curbs and they're quite high and it's not level, or the stair treads are not consistent, we all have muscle memory. And, we're getting larger as human beings. And a lot of the things, like Lois had just mentioned, like, don't you feel that the sliding doors is very reminiscent of a shoji screen? So now all of a sudden you have the connectivity of different spaces and you have different uses of the same spaces. So we don't need to be so greedy with bigger spaces. We can just be more mindful and a little more cost effective by investing a little more money at the front than we're saving money ripping out perfectly good things on the back end by just, being smart about things. So
because of the barrier free building code, is by increase the cost, real estate cost. Say example, if you have the takeout restaurant or a small store about 500 square feet, you still need a universal washroom, which size is about over 100 square feet.
Yeah,
So that will be increase the real estate investment. So you need to rent a bigger space. And also the building department, they have the right to shut down illegal or even shut down a cinema because of you have so many handicapped seats. So it's very strong, very tough. So it's very costly.
very costly. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a lot of investment in the front end. And I think that the COVID shutdown and restrictions have really amplified the need for a more thoughtful design process at the beginning to sort of figure these sorts of things out. And you know, like you said, with the elevator getting thrown out with the client, that's all fine and good, but that elevator might have added more money on the back end for somebody for resale. You know,
40,000. I am designing a spa, which is with two different level elevation, about 36 inches high.
yeah,
So the client have to invest 40,000 to buy a handicap platform. I think is not
Yeah.
elevator. Otherwise, you need to build miles of the ramp
yeah,
inside the interior. So that very challenging. So
it's
that's
exceptionally challenging.
yeah.
Yeah,
So that's my experience.
yeah. Thank you for sharing that, Peter. That's really great.
Welcome.
Yeah, and again, I think we can just be smarter about how we're doing things in the future and be more inclusive with the design, and then hopefully the prices will come down because it will just make more sense. I don't know why in the 70s and 80s people all of a sudden went bonkers, because in the 50s and 60s we had these wonderful post-war homes that were all one level and had fairly large size rooms and many with sliding doors and double doors and lots of windows and windows that were lower to the ground and lots of sliding patio doors out to open spaces and the connectivity and higher quality materials. And then in the 70s and 80s, we thought, oh, it'll be fun to have a couple stairs going this way. And oh, it'll be fun to have a vaulted ceiling over here. Oh, it'd be great to have a skylight over here, which then created glare. And then, oh, it'd be wonderful to sink the living room over here for no good reason. And let's put this like little appendage over here. And so now all of a sudden you had this like disjointed design and these split levels and these sunken spaces that basically made it impossible for people to navigate. And that's when we started having, instead of a few well-designed bathrooms, let's just do 2.5 baths. We'll just put a bathroom everywhere. And then you ended up with this tiny little cubby as low as 30 inches by 30 inches when I got into the kitchen and bath industry. And I'm like, who is buying a 30 by 30 shower? I mean, I've been in them in Europe. I've seen showers of all kinds. I think the smallest shower I ever actually physically used was 4 steps up. The on-demand hot water tank was like at my shoulder level, and it was 2 feet by 2 feet. And the doorway to get into this shower was 18 inches by 18 inches. So the fact that I got the soap out of my hair, I don't even know how that happened. And you had to basically wedge between the toilet, and it had one of those little 9-inch spittoons as the lavatory. And the coolest bathroom I ever was in, it was a cast iron bathtub in an old construction in Berlin. And the water filler went through the wall and serviced the sink, and it serviced the bathtub. And then you had to attach a hose to connect to the washer dryer combo. So the whole place had one cast iron pipe for the whole shebang. But again, one little tiny on-demand hot water tank that serviced the cast iron bathtub and the sink. So, you know, we can get creative with our space, and I really appreciate you guys for joining. I hope we get more than just the board next time, but you guys are awesome.
Thanks.
A great job, Danny. Thanks very much.
Thank you guys.
This was wonderful. Everyone have a great night. Please, you know, if you have ideas for an upcoming event, let me know, and we'll see you all at the next board meeting.
Good.
Have a good night,
Bye-bye.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thanks,
Good night.
Danny.
Bye-bye.
Best board
Bye-bye.
ever. You guys are rock stars, every one of you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.